What's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Bex.
Thanks to everyone who has been listening to our episodes and has replied to our question last week about, Bex wanted to know, where are you when you listen to our podcast? Thank you so much to Emma, who had replied on Spotify to say that she listens while driving or lifting. Hopefully we give you some motivation to smash those weights and I don't know how we would do that, but okay. So we've also had a reply from Kira. Thank you so much, Kira, who has a very short commute, but makes time to listen to when we drop a new episode. I relate. I also have a short commute. I just get out of bed and walk down my hallway. So I don't get to listen to podcasts on my commute either. But yeah, I do get to put them on in the background while I'm doing other stuff, just like Kira does apparently. And we also had a reply on YouTube from Celtic Welsh, who had a few comments about the lawsuit era. Thank you for sharing those with us. So yeah, thank you to all those people. And if you would like to leave us a comment, feel free, while you're listening to this show, just talk back to us. We're happy to, we're not going to hear it, obviously, unless you record yourself, talking back to us, that's fine. But if you want to leave us a comment, you can do that on either Spotify or YouTube, or even just go to our website, which is thatweewooshow.com, and find the episode post and leave a comment there. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you have some comments.
That's definitely the worst part about listening to a podcast, when they're talking about something and you want to comment and you're just like, no, it's because of this, and they can't hear you.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, we want to hear all of that. That's fine. Just let us know. So we're up to episode 8 in season 3 now, but Alice, you want to let us know what happened last week?
Yeah, so last week on 911, we explored Athena's origin story with flashbacks to the death of her first fiancé in the early 1990s.
This week, we are jumping back into present time for Malfunction. And the official summary says that tragedy strikes at an ice skating show. And that's the headline. That was the most important thing, apparently, that was going to catch everyone's attention for this episode. The emergencies in this episode include a skating mishap at an ice show, an accident involving a self-driving car, and a fulfillment warehouse robot going rogue. Meanwhile, Eddie's after-hours fight club gets out of control, and Hen struggles in her relationship with Karen. And our triggers for this week are car accidents, multiple, car versus building, and ambulance versus car, fertility issues, depression, death of a patient, gore, massive gore, amazing gore, and MMA fighting.
It's a lot. We say that every week, it's a lot, but this one actually does have quite a variety.
The show is a lot, yeah.
So let's get started with our ice skating show.
This family who they show at the beginning of the ice skating show are so funny. The dad's trying to get all excited about taking them to this ice skating thing.
I don't know. I don't think the dad's trying to get excited. I think he is excited.
Yeah, he's excited, but the kids are just not into it. They're just looking so bored, and the little girl's just looking at her phone.
Yeah, the dad's on the phone, and he's just yeah, they're totally excited. And the kids are just, no.
It's giving divorced dad trying to do something fun for the kids on the weekend.
I thought that too.
He's trying to justify the excursion to his ex-wife on the phone. Especially when it gets to of course it's age appropriate. It's pure family-friendly entertainment. And it's very much why are you taking the kids to an ice show? It's going to be fine. And then we cut backstage of the ice show, and it's not so family friendly because the two skaters who are playing Hansel and Gretel are at each other's throats. Not literally, but figuratively.
Oh yeah, they're having a big fight.
They are. Apparently they are exes.
Yeah, they're not sleeping together anymore.
Which, working with your ex is bad at the best of times, but they're they're pair skaters. So he's lifting her. They are skating together. It's that's not got to be fun.
No.
At least they're Hansel and Gretel, so they don't have like a romantic component to their
That's
story.
Skeevy. It's very Dexter. Playing brotherhood.
Oh.
Well, we go back to the show and the skaters are doing their little twirls and they're dancing. And we get this like really kind of slow-mo close-up shot of a single sequin coming off one of the costumes and landing on the ice.
It was very Final Destination-ish.
I was going to say it was almost like a throwback to the early thousands with like CSI, where it'd show like what happened in vivid, gory detail.
Okay.
But yeah, Final Destination I definitely see.
Yep. Especially considering what happens next.
Yeah.
The kids are still like not interested. They're just like, they've got their hands on their chin going.
I swear the little boy is asleep. That's how not into it he is. So Hansel and Gretel skate out into the ice.
They're still bickering the whole way out to the ice. Like the hallway out, like they're like, should have broken up with you earlier, shouldn't have dated you at all. You're just a bronze medalist. Like full on bickering. And then as soon as they're announced to be on the ice, they take each other's hands, have big smiles, and skate out.
Yeah, once they hit the ice, you wouldn't know there was any issues between them whatsoever.
Professionals.
Very professional. But once they take their position in center ice, the swans or owls or snowy owls who were skating sort of around the perimeter, one of them suddenly toe picks. He just like stumbles and falls flat on the ice, and I have many, many issues with this scene, but I'll just summarize what happens first and then we can go back and pull it to pieces. So he falls down. One of the other snowy owls skates past him and skates over his hand, severing his fingers.
Ow.
And we get a shot of, it looks like arterial spray going over Dad and the kids in the audience.
Like I knew this was coming because obviously I'd seen it before, and I still like gasped and looked away. I forgot how like it's so graphic. Yeah.
Then Gretel, sort of sensing that something is wrong, sort of turns around, stumbles backwards. I'm assuming she tripped over a finger. And she flies backwards and her skate ends up lodged in Hansel's chest. And there are so many things wrong with this scene that it's just not funny because it just would not actually work. It's all for the drama.
Okay, tell us what's wrong with it. Oh, and aside from that, the kids love this. They're looking at going, they're like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is apparently how you get the kids' attention. You turn the ice skating show into a gore fest.
Yeah, now they're excited about it.
Okay, like the snowy owl that falls. I'm pretty sure that ice skaters get taught how to fall safely, and because they do a lot of it. And I'm pretty sure that falling safely does not mean throwing your arms out and splaying your fingers out across the ice.
Right.
Point number 2, the skates can't actually cut your fingers off.
Oh.
They are wicked sharp, and they will cut down to the bone, but they can't go through bone.
I did a lot of like ice skating when I was younger, and I was always taught, like if you fall, bring your hands in to your chest straight away. And because otherwise they'd cut your finger off. I didn't actually see anyone's finger get cut off, but I'm pretty sure you can cut someone's finger off. It's fine.
I did do a little bit of Googling about ice skating injuries, especially relating to skate versus hands, and there are some gnarly photos of people who've had skates go over their fingers. Everyone's fingers are still intact. Chop.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way that they can go through like all 4 bones in one fell swoop like that.
I was more like, because obviously we know that it happened because of a sequin, And I was like, really? A sequin? But apparently this is based on something from Dancing on Ice, because one of the skaters' costumes started shedding sequins, and the techs literally had to stop everything and hand pick all the sequins off the ice, because yes, if they go over it, the skate will just stop dead.
Right.
Imagine how tedious that would have been.
Right?
Yeah, because they're hard to see. Oh, we saw that later when Bobby's like shining a torch over it.
Yeah.
But like the odds on that skater hitting the ice with that one sequin on it.
Yeah, like this was obviously one sequin for the drama. This
yeah.
was like a whole bunch on the ice, so...
Yeah. Oh no, that one definitely I could understand. Yes, and then my final that's bullshit point for this sequence would be Gretel was going backwards, which means her skates were going upwards. But when we see her on screen, her skate is coming down into Hansel's chest.
Look, maybe she really just wanted to kick him, so...
if she's falling backwards, her skates would be going up. They wouldn't be, like, slamming down into Hansel's chest.
Oh no, I fell, kick.
Yeah, so, like, the entire sequence is completely illogical, and not even in, like, and, like, Alice, if there was a skater on the ice, I don't know how big this rink is, but I'm pretty sure that even if they did cut off the fingers, the spray of blood would not be powerful enough to hit the audience.
Oh god, no.
Definitely for the drama.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's so good
for the drama.
It's so good. This is one of the scenes that I've watched like multiple times.
All right, after the title card, we have one of the best one-liners in this entire episode, which is one of the guys from the production saying, who's leading the 118 through the backstage area. He says, "I haven't seen this much blood on the ice since a squirrel crawled into the Zamboni." Oh, no. And yes, even though we live in a place where it never snows, we do vaguely hear from pop culture what a Zamboni actually is. Well, they still use them in ice skating rinks here. Yeah.
I mostly know it because of Deadpool.
Oh, right.
We actually just lost our skating rink.
Oh.
We don't have one anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
But they did have a Zamboni when they did exist.
I need to go again. I used to go a lot when I was a kid because my mum and grandma on the other side both ice skated.
All right. I used to go for like a Wednesday afternoon sport at high school, but I was terrible at it. I was so terrible at it. Like I was better at roller skating, but yeah, ice skating, I was terrified of falling over, and it just that if you're scared of something like that, it means you just can't do it because you've got to be confident.
See, I was scared of falling, and so I just stayed up. Like I was like, no, I'm just not going to fall. So, and it seemed to work because I very rarely fell. But yeah, like I couldn't do any tricks or anything, but I could like, you know, get some speed up and not fall. So
nice.
That was all I was aiming for at, 10 years old.
The idea of skating on like a frozen over pond or lake or something, I don't know how people can do that. That sounds terrifying. Because like if you fall in, that's bad. Right? Real bad.
It's hard to comprehend that. Like
it is hard to comprehend.
Over. Yeah.
Especially when it was like 32 degrees Celsius here today.
Yeah, we've been almost 40 all week and crazy, which is like almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Anyway, they don't work out what caused it until much later when Bobby kind of twigs that.
Randy explains it a little bit more, but I do love this this introduction because Bobby asks any idea what causes the accident. And Nicole said that, well, it was all fine, and then Hansel and Gretel hit the ice, and it looks like Chim and Hen have gone in ahead of Bobby. So Chim is approaching as Bobby is being updated. So Bobby asks him, what's the story? And so Chim very seriously starts telling him the story of Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, these two children are abandoned in the woods. They come upon a gingerbread house, and Bobby just looks like levels in with a look, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, it was a moldy scout. It's time to pile up." In between this, Buck is trying to walk across the ice.
Oh, yeah.
And just like keeps slipping over and trying to stand up and slipping over. I'm pretty sure I saw something about how like that was literally just Oliver falling down, and they just kept it in because it was funny.
Everybody else is fine. Like everyone else
everyone
seems
else
to
is
be
just
able
walking
to
around.
walk on the ice in their boots. Buck cannot. I just love the fact that Buck is sort of set up to be the stereotypical bro who you would think would be, you know, the perfect athlete. But yet he's completely unathletic.
Oh yeah, he's not good at sports.
He can, the running is all limbs going in every direction. He can't like even just walk across ice. It's hilarious.
But yeah, so Jim, once he stops his Hansel and Gretel bit, mentions that most of the injuries were minor except for that guy who lost 4 digits. And they're still looking for the fingers, which is why the 118 are sort of spread out,
Falling over
looking
on the
through
ice.
prop decorations. And Hansel took Gretel's blade to the torso.
It barely missed his heart.
Which apparently he doesn't have. Because this entire time, Hansel and Gretel are still bitching at each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
So they work out that the easiest way to proceed would be to get Gretel's foot out of her boot. So that they can remove her from the situation, they can transport Hansel. And Chim asks Hen to pass him a pair of trauma shears so that he can start cutting, and she hands him a laryngoscope. And everybody kind of looks a little bit, Hen, you okay there? Because apparently that is not typical behaviour for Hen.
Mm-hmm.
No, and not really going to help with cutting anyone out of anything.
No.
But yeah, Hansel and Gretel are still bickering. But it turns out they broke up because Gretel was offered a position at Disney on Ice and Hansel thought that she wasn't going to take it because of him. So he broke up with her so that she would take it.
Which is a weird kind of backwards kind of way to force someone into doing something, I guess.
Yeah.
But he was like, it's been your dream.
Talk, but, you know.
It's always been your dream to do that. And she's like, no, this is my dream, being on the ice with you.
Which kind of tells me that Hansel is right in like breaking up with her and being mean to her to force her to leave, because she apparently wasn't going to.
Yeah. But they've got her foot out of the boot. And also Eddie has actually located a pinky, which he's really excited about. It's like, oh, look, I found a pinky. The others are still looking for the other fingers still. But Hansel's like, you're just saying that because I could die. And Hans sort of reassures him that he's actually going to live. So, and then Gretel's all happy with him then. So she's like, oh, you're an idiot. And she gives him a kiss. It's like, okay, they're okay now? Like,
Apparently.
okay.
So while all this is happening, Bobby is talking to Randy, who is still in his full, like, evil witch costume. Green face,
Oh, yeah.
pointed hat. And he's telling Bobby how it went down. He said that Hansel and Gretel were fighting, figured they would shake it up once they hit the ice, but then one of the snowy owls went full toe pick and everyone hit the ice. And Bobby just kind of cocks his head and goes, did you say toe pick? And then we see him, like, examining the ice with his pen torch. Like, minutely examining the ice. Even after Buck lets him know they have found all the fingers, even when Hansel and Gretel have been ready to be transported, he's still examining the ice. And he gets really excited because he finds a sequin.
Yep. One single sequin.
That one single sequin that everybody seemed to find so easily. And he explains to the 118 that it is a sequin. And when your blade runs across one of these, it stops your skates dead in their tracks. And Buck, whose entire role in this episode is to be exposition firefighter, says, wait,
Yes.
one sequin did all of this? And Bobby very seriously tells him that a wardrobe malfunction can be the most dangerous part of figure skating. And when Chim questions, how do you know so much about figure skating? Bobby just kind of sighs, like, oh shit, backed myself into a corner, and reveals that his partner and he were the Twin Cities junior pair champions for 3 years running. And then we get a cut of baby Bobby and baby Heidi in all of their 70s glory, finishing their pairs routine to the general cheers of the audience.
I love this. I mean, that you just never know what's in someone's past, right?
I just love the 118's react, like the rest of their reactions.
Yeah.
Like, Chim and Hen just look absolutely dumbfounded.
They're just
Buck
staring
is
at him going,
grinning.
Okay.
And Eddie's like, I always thought you were a hockey player. And Bobby just goes, who says you can't do both?
He's blowing Eddie's mind right now. Because he's had, like, Bobby firmly in this very sort of masculine, paternal role model box. And all of a sudden he's discovered that he was a figure skater. Which I'm guessing in Eddie's mind is slightly more feminine, slightly less masculine role to be doing. So he's like, wait, you can, like, be the masculine hockey player and be a figure skater as well? And I think Buck is just thrilled because he loves the idea that Bobby was a figure skater. Like, he's not particularly fussed about
Buck's
the
like,
fact.
We'll Google for photos later. Like, he just wants to see this.
And as they sort of leave, Bobby does this weird thing where he, like, pushes through the middle of the group to leave. It's like, why don't you just go round? They're all standing in a clump. Anyway, as
he's
they
being
leave,
dramatic.
He is being very
flair for the.
He's got his dramatic dad bitch hat on. Dramatic bitch dad. Yeah, that way around. And as they're all leaving, Buck, like, almost falls over again, and Eddie just sort of looks at him and goes, oh. What a great scene. Loved that one.
It's so good, which is why I've watched it multiple times. Like, just Bobby's face is amazing.
Yes. Well, they all their reaction is just so funny. Like, they're just
so good.
What? You did what now? Anyway, it is time now for the thirsty part of the episode, because Eddie's going back to Fight
take
Club.
this. She can stop drooling for a sec.
There wasn't many notes. It was just, Eddie's shirtless and sweaty. Not quite as bloody this week. But
good.
It's Fight Club 2.0. We've upgraded. It's not just a bunch of cars tailgating at the back of a salvage yard. It is...
This is real Fight Club.
It's a warehouse with an actual cage and people placing bets on the outcome of the fight, and, like, big bets. Somebody puts $2,000 on Eddie. And thankfully, for this guy anyway, and probably for Eddie as well, Eddie wins the bout that he's currently fighting. And he gets a thick yellow envelope of cash for his troubles.
And the bookie guy says that a lot of people bet against him, and so that's why he ended up winning so much money. But, he wants to know when he can come back. So obviously maybe this is the first time he's been there. And, so the guy says he'll put him in on Friday night on the card, so he's going to come back.
And they really emphasise that the rules of this fight club is tap out or knockout. Those are the only two ways that a bout ends. So I don't know how much money was in that envelope, but the next morning, Buck has arrived at the station house and he is pulling something out of his Jeep when Eddie drives up in a brand new, shiny black General Motors truck.
Yeah.
That he definitely was not driving a couple of episodes ago.
They're so massive, those trucks.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge.
Like, if I stood in front of it, you wouldn't see me from the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I did
it's
a little
a monster
bit of
truck.
Googling, and I think this was the era of when General Motors was just sponsoring all of the TV shows. So all of the characters were driving General Motors vehicles or trying to I remember there was an entire episode of Fringe where it was based where the characters were just driving General Motors trucks and talking about the amazing features. We've got to drive to a case. Hey, this truck has built-in sat-nav. Let's use the voice-activated sat-nav to get us to the next location.
Oh, no.
Oh, the product placements can be so bad.
This one's at least subtle.
Yeah, this one's much more subtle than they do later on in the show.
Yeah.
No.
So Buck looks over at the truck and looks at Eddie and asks him if he's renting it. And Eddie reveals that no, he's bought the truck. Apparently, the story that he's told, I don't know if it's a true story or whether it's just a story that he's decided will work to explain why he's suddenly got a new truck, was that the AC crapped out in the old one while he and Christopher were sitting in traffic or sweating in traffic. He saw a dealership, so he thought, why not? And Buck is a little bit confused by this because Eddie is not usually an impulse buyer. And Eddie counters that maybe he should become an impulse buyer. And then when Buck says, I'll remind you of that the next time you're begging for extra shifts to cover the payments, Eddie pulls this face which tells us that there are no payments. He bought that truck outright.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of Googling, and I don't know what kind of truck that specific one that he's driving was, but I found one that kind of looks like it. And that was about $68,000 back in 2019.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So how much money did Eddie make in that fight? I know the firefighters make good money, and then you put on that extra cash, and then you probably put on his pension from the VA.
Maybe some life insurance from Shannon.
Maybe, but then all of Christopher's expenses.
She wasn't working though, yeah.
Was she? We never found out what Shannon was doing.
Yeah, we don't know what she was doing.
She could have had
well, she wasn't supporting them, but yeah, maybe she had life insurance for Chris.
Or she had money or something. Who knows? We never found out a single thing about Shannon. But the point is, yeah, that's a freaking expensive truck.
Yeah, he bought a really freaking expensive truck.
Outright.
He had the cash.
So he tries to distract Buck from thinking any closer about the financial implications of the truck by asking him what the large, long, flat, covered in brown paper thing that he pulled out of his truck is. And Buck he looks so pleased with himself. He said that this is epic because he found Heidi Shatsky.
This is very silly. So they do take it, they go inside and they're up in the kitchen. And as Bobby comes in, the others, actually, they're all there, aren't they? Blocking Bobby's view of the
Buck,
thing.
Eddie,
whatever's
and
behind them.
Yeah, Eddie and Buck
Chim.
sort of,
and Chim's
Eddie and Buck are blocking. Because, honestly, you'd still be able to see it over Chim. I love you, Kenny, but you are a short king. But he's not even that short. It's just in comparison to Ryan and Oliver.
Yeah.
And Peter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's morning briefing.
Yeah. So Bobby starts off saying the water heater went out last night, but they're sending someone to fix it. But until then, you might want to brace yourselves when you hit the showers. They're also changing the lunch schedule. And then they full on da-da-da-da and just pull out this life-size cardboard cutout. I don't know how Buck got it so fast.
No.
I'm going to say that there was a couple of days between the ice skating call and today. But yeah, I'm sure by the time he sort of got Heidi, got the photos, got it to a Kinko's or something, I don't know how quickly you can turn around giant cardboard cutouts. It's timey-wimey, let's not...
Timey-wimey, that's it.
Timey-wimey.
But Chim's got his phone out to capture Bobby's reaction to this.
Yes.
Buck has a life-size cardboard cutout guy on standby, just 24/7.
Yeah. He knows a guy.
Just in case, yeah.
But Bobby's not embarrassed. He's just like, oh gosh, where did you get that?
I do love that he's not embarrassed about his past.
No.
Yeah.
He's
love
like
it.
he's fully accepted that he was a figure skater
I mean,
in the 70s.
to be fair, like, with Bobby, it's probably the least embarrassing part of his past.
Maybe.
Like, when people dig into him, it's just like, oh my god, like, he was an alcoholic, he was a drug addict, his entire family died. Oh, and he did some figure skating when he was younger. Like,
Yeah, and he was the champion.
The easiest part of that is the figure skating.
Yeah, maybe. But Buck does say that Heidi didn't want to ruin the surprise, so she will email you later.
Yeah, God bless Heidi.
But yeah, what did we decided earlier that Bobby is extremely dad in this episode. He's just dad.
Bobby's so dad
all the way
in this
through.
episode.
Yeah. And because he says, like, because Eddie goes, what is this haircut? You know, like, is this some kind of Travolta thing? And Bobby's like, not Travolta, Bowie.
I don't even
and they're all
know.
like going, what?
I don't even know how they got Travolta from that haircut.
Grease, maybe? No.
Yeah, I think they were trying to link it to Grease.
It looks nothing like Travolta's
It looks nothing-
hairstyle in Grease.
Nothing
Don't know.
like it.
It looks a lot more like Bowie, but then, and they're all looking at him going, what? And he's like he goes, Ziggy Stardust? Like, you guys don't know Bowie? And like Chim goes, this feels a little more like Siegfried and Roy.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't get Bowie from it either. And I think
Yeah.
that's just because it was the haircut of like a 10-year-old who went into a hairdresser in Minnesota and held up a photo and went, I want this. And the hairdresser, who is used to doing like short back and sides, has just tried their best, and he's just walked out with a
It wouldn't have even been a photo. It
Yeah,
would have
it's
been like a
basically-
magazine clipping.
Yeah. An album cover is walked in.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a version of Bowie from someone who's like never really actually seen a picture of Bowie before.
It does look like a spiky mullet, you're right.
Which is why I'm really surprised they didn't like pull out a Wayne's World reference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although that's assuming that, because we know that none of these guys have ever watched anything ever. So they probably don't even know
Only
Wayne's
Chim.
World.
Only Chim has.
Only Chim.
Only Chim has.
Well, Hen comes in. She's running a bit late because she had to take Danny to school. And then she just notices what they're all looking at. And she's like, what did I miss?
And Bobby's reaction, again, is perfect. And just goes, okay, for everyone who isn't fired, I won't be cooking today.
So he suddenly lost a paramedic and 2 firefighters in one fell
Yep.
swoop.
But it's okay, because their special guest chef will have 3 less people to cook for lunch. Buck's very disappointed that there's no pasta Thursday, but when we cut to lunch, we've got Athena cooking.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy that the Bobby cutout is in the kitchen with Athena. It's like it's popped up in the background.
Right behind her. She even like makes a comment because Bobby's hovering and like sneaky adding seasoning while she's not looking. She's like, now I've got 2 of you hovering over me when I'm cooking.
Okay, so this scene kind of confused me because was the implication that Athena is a bad cook? And that's why Bobby is hovering and trying to add stuff?
I think that it's like, I took it as more as like Bobby's just a control freak, because like Bobby's always the one in the kitchen. Honestly, I think this is my favorite like Athena episode because this is so married.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she turns away, he's just like, quick, add stuff.
Yeah, it's very cute, but then like later on Buck is like goes to add seasoning, so I was confused
Well,
as
he's
to whether
used to Bobby's cooking, so maybe Bobby just adds more salt or something.
Yeah, maybe,
usually.
because then like Hen is absolutely hoeing down like there's no tomorrow, so I'm going, and Shim is absolutely loving as well, so I'm thinking, well, it must be okay if everyone else is eating it.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, those are interesting observations. I will go with that. But yes, Athena is cooking lunch for them today because she needs to get out of the house because she's going slightly stir crazy with the suspension.
Slightly.
She has apparently cleared out every closet. She's taken 16 bags to Goodwill, and even started organising their receipts for the accountant for tax time, even though it is November.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that tax time is... I don't know when tax time is for the US. Is it like end of financial year the same as our end of financial year? Or is
No, I think it's January for, like, they have tax time in, like, normal year times, whereas we have it, like, mid-year for some reason.
Okay. Anyway, apparently it is far too
I might
early
be wrong,
to be
but
getting...
I'm pretty sure it's January. Yeah, but yeah, Athena's worried that she's going to start redecorating the whole house.
Yeah, she needs her suspension to be over. I wonder how long she's been suspended for that she's started doing all this.
But isn't it interesting that we never actually... Like, this is the first time we've heard that she's been suspended? Yeah. Because they ended Athena Begins on her, like, all hail the conquering hero, bringing in Dennis, I think his name was. So that episode ended on a high for Athena, except now we're apparently finding out that she then fell very, very far down off the pedestal that she'd been put on.
I'm pretty sure she was warned that she'd be suspended.
Was she?
I'm fairly sure there was, like, a line in Athena Begins that if she kept going, she'd be suspended. And she was basically like, well, I'm not letting this go, which is why she wouldn't let what's-his-name help.
She said she might end up by losing her job, and she didn't want that to happen to him. That was just when talking to Hen.
Romero. And then when Romero was getting in her face, she was like, this could go badly and I'm not taking you down with me. There was nothing from Elaine that would indicate that she was going to be in trouble for this.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's just interesting. They're just, like, completely skipped over it, and now the only time we ever find out about it is through Bobby and Chim.
Because, Chim even has a line when they're having family lunch where he says he thinks it's ridiculous that she got suspended for solving a murder.
Yeah. And this is the part with Buck that I find absolutely hilarious. So Athena takes the compliment about her cooking, and she starts to explain how she gets her brisket to taste so good. But even as she's explaining that, Buck is reaching for the salt shaker to season his plate. And Athena clocks it, and then she just stops talking in mid-sentence. And everybody freezes. And Buck's looking around the table like, what do I do? He looks over at Bobby, and Bobby just shakes his head. And
it's so good.
And Buck, Eddie has frozen with his water glass halfway up to his mouth. And then Buck just very carefully puts the salt shaker back down on the table.
But Athena just rolls her eyes. She's like, oh.
It's the most parent scene ever. Well, yeah, and just Buck looking at Dad, and Dad just shaking his head without saying anything. It's the tiniest shake of his head, and he's just like, yep, nope, okay. Put the
because he doesn't want Athena to see him.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't.
But yeah, I love it. And yeah, this is my favourite Athena episode that we've had so far, because they're just so married.
But lunch gets interrupted because Hen gets a phone call, and she has to get up and excuse herself from the table. I don't know who Cheryl is. Do we know who Cheryl is?
No, but Karen was going to call her.
Apparently Karen was supposed to call her, and she didn't, so now she's called Hen and interrupting her at work.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe someone at Karen's work.
Or school-related, something to do with Denny.
I was thinking something to do with Denny.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, we never really find out.
No, but the point is that there's something going on with Karen, and Chim and Athena are concerned. Because they exchange a bit of a look as Hen walks away.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need more Chim and Athena interaction. Because they're both Hen's besties.
Yeah.
But I guess they're it's like when you've got that best friend and you leave your two best friends in a room together and they don't know each other, so they're just awkward about it.
The only connection they've got is you.
Yeah, so they're just Hen's pretty cool, hey.
All right, time to go to the next emergency. We have a man driving along the freeway, and he's having to talk with his wife about the self-driving car. But she doesn't trust the self-driving technology. She's like, at least tell me you still have your hands on the wheel. And he's like, no. He's got his hands up in the air. He's like, hands free, feet free. I can text, eat a sandwich. Like, I think back then, like, self-driving cars were like a extreme novelty. Like, I mean, obviously even now we don't really have them that much. They are around. Like,
not in Australia, I know.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I don't think we have them
Yeah.
here at all, yeah.
But, yeah, back then it would have been just new. And, yeah, the wife is like, that is not safe. And the guy whose name's Brian, he's like, guess what I'm doing now? The Macarena. But then he sort of moves his arm and he, like, grabs at it and goes, oh, that hurts. Something's wrong. My chest hurts. And then his wife's like, what are you, can you pull over? And he's like, yeah, no, I got this. And then he just presses one button and it says, rerouting to the hospital. It's like, no, that's not how they work.
Well, apparently in this car there are a range of quick options along the side, and one of them is hospital.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the one he
very
hits.
convenient. But I don't know if you've ever tried to, like, look up something while you're driving. It's, like, nearly impossible. I mean, you're not supposed to. Usually they make you use the voice commands to do it,
Yeah.
but it's never easy. I always end up having to pull over to try and find something on there because it's, like, almost impossible to do it.
My car's not that new.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about doing it on my phone mainly. I mean, the car itself doesn't do it.
Maybe you should get a self-driving car.
Right. One day I will have a car that can drive me places, but not yet. Okay. So the car is taking him to the hospital. The wife actually rings 911 to say that I think my husband is having a heart attack. He's in the car on the way to the hospital, but I think he's passed out. And the dispatch person, who is not Maddie, because she's not allowed to work at the moment, apparently, they're like, are you in the car with him? And she's like, no, I'm at home. And dispatch person says, who's driving the car? And then we
and then we cut to the car slamming through the front doors of the emergency department, and crashing into, like, the back wall, and then cheerfully announcing that it has arrived at his destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I'm pretty sure the whole point of self-driving cars is that they're supposed to stop if there's something in front of them, but hey.
I'm pretty sure that
it was an emergency,
would not do
okay?
that.
I mean, the entire episode, the episode title is Malfunction, so, like, everything is malfunctioning.
Yeah.
And
it's a really good segue, honestly.
It's such a funny segue.
Who's driving the car and then just smashing through the hospital.
It's one of the few times that I will quite happily just ignore the fact that it was, like, would not happen in reality and just enjoy it for the drama, because it's funny and it's good drama.
That's it.
Speaking of good drama, I love the next scene, which is the Wenny team get called to the emergency department to...
Oh, it's so good. I forgot about this scene until I was watching it.
So
and I was, like,
they get Brian
so
out of the car and they get him onto a backboard.
It's nice to see Buck and Eddie doing things together again.
Yep, Buck and Eddie get Brian out. Chim and Hen are standing by with a gurney to put him onto. But as soon as Buck and Eddie lift Brian up to put him on the gurney, the hospital emergency team is there with a stretcher, ready. And it just makes sense to put him straight onto that stretcher because that's what Chim and Hen would have been doing. They would have been wheeling him into the emergency department. So they put Brian on the stretcher and they take him away. And Chim and Hen are just sort of standing there going, I don't even know why we're here. And we're completely redundant.
Yeah.
But then we find out that there's a doctor who's pinned to the wall by the car. And Bobby asks, like, how the doctor is. And the doctor's just like, yep, couple fractured ribs, multiple places, just some blunt force trauma. She's just diagnosing herself. It's great.
But once again, Buck and Eddie get, like, the car out of the way. They get her free. Chim and Hen go to put her on the stretcher. And there's an emergency team waiting for her.
Literally, it, like, cuts to the medical team. And they're just, like, eyeing down Chim and Hen, and they both just put their hands up. They're like, yep, just take her, it's fine.
She's all yours. Which is fair enough, because the point of Chim and Hen is to get them to the emergency department. So
yeah, and they're already in the emergency
they are
department, so
already in
they're
the
just like,
emergency department.
well, why are we here?
Chim wants to keep bitching about the fact that they have nothing to do, but Hen has been distracted because she's got a phone call from Denny. And so she is booking it out of the scene so that she can talk to Denny on the phone, which both Chim and Bobby notice.
Yeah, they're a bit concerned about it when they hear who it is. But then, so, I mean, later at the end of the shift, I assume, unless she got out of the rest of the shift because Denny asked her to come home or something.
I'm going to say that considering the shifts are usually like 24 hours, if she's home at dinner time, then Bobby probably let her go early.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think the writers of 911 really pay much attention to shift times.
No.
So,
We've
regardless,
already
it's
established
dinner
this.
time and she's at home.
Yeah. So Karen is in bed and Hen comes in and turns the lamp on and says, hey, dinner's ready. Are you going to come and eat? And Karen's just not interested at all. But she's in that place where whatever Hen says is going to be wrong, and she's sort of depressed, basically.
She's
not interested
depressed.
in eating. And Hen says something like, I'm worried about you. I know you're still upset. And Karen sort of bites her head off about saying that she's still like, I'm sorry my grief is taking so long. Yeah, she's just really, really feeling it a lot. Feeling a lot. She's, oh, God. My words are not working either at the moment.
She has very big feelings.
Yes, indeed.
About this. And then Danny, the little sweetheart, comes in with, he's made a cup of tea for Karen. And he very carefully tries to give her the cup of tea, even though both Hen and Karen are saying to him, like, no, not right now, I don't want the tea. And the inevitable happens, and he spills the tea in the bed. And suddenly all of Karen's anger has another outlet. And all of her rage goes at Denny. And the wet sheets that she now has to change because he spilt tea on them. I will say she does pull herself together very quickly. And she apologizes for her outburst. And thanks him for bringing the tea. Tells him that it was very thoughtful and that she will come and have dinner with him and he can tell her all about his day. So they get Denny out of the room, feeling a little bit better, hopefully.
And Hen sort of sits down and reassures Karen that she's not the only one who's feeling the loss. Karen sort of doesn't know how Hen can just get on with her day by, like, how can she just put it away and get on with things? And Hen says that she's sad too. She got really attached to the idea of a new baby. And then that was the wrong thing to say again. And Karen says, I guess that's the difference. Those embryos were just an idea to you. But each one of them was actually a part of me.
I don't know that it was the wrong thing to say, but it does highlight the difference between how they're reacting
Hen just
to
looks,
this loss.
Devastated that she's taking it like that.
I felt so sorry for Karen in this scene. Because you have to think she's still, like, her hormones are still running super high at this point. They would still be pumping her full of hormones ready for implantation. I assume. I don't know anything about IVF. So hormonally she's all over the place, which is affecting her, psychologically, mentally. She's taking this loss. It's hitting her a lot harder than it's hitting Hen, because Hen is not having to deal with that extra trigger.
Not only that, but Karen feels like a failure as well.
Oh yeah, poor, Karen, I think, she's just hating herself, and she's so angry at herself right now.
Mm.
But she can't externalize that. She's not using her words. Like, everybody in this episode needs to go to therapy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Everyone in this show needs to go to
Everyone in this show needs to go to therapy, but yeah, definitely right now. Like, I know Maddie should be at therapy.
I was going to say, hey, Maddie is in therapy.
She should be in therapy. Eddie definitely needs to go to therapy. And yeah, Karen, I think Karen would really benefit for having someone to talk to. Because
who's external, yeah.
We don't know if she has anyone to talk to, because Hen goes and sort of spills her guts to Athena. So she's got Athena as a sounding board, but who has Karen got?
Yeah, we don't really find out.
No, we don't, because we don't care about Karen except for the fact that she's Hen's partner.
I mean, you'd hope. I feel like in Australia, it's the same over there, but as part of that fertility process, they would, like, if you lose, a pregnancy, they would recommend that you speak to someone.
But I guess they haven't even got to the pregnancy part.
Yeah.
They're still just doing the fertilization.
But I mean, the process is in no way guaranteed to work. They must have heaps of women who have, failures, I guess, like trouble with the whole process, and that must take a toll on a lot of them. You'd think they would have people,
I guess, like,
available.
The healthcare system's not great over there either, so we don't know.
Well, it's fine if you can pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't think the healthcare system's bad as such. It's just that it's expensive if you want decent care.
Oh, no, I think it's, even if you could possibly pay for it out of pocket, you still couldn't. I don't think there is the option of, I want this surgery, I am willing to pay through the nose for it. Your insurance provider will still just say, no, you can't have it. But yes, poor Karen she is frustrated and angry at herself and her body for malfunctioning and failing her and failing Hen. She's angry at herself for putting off trying to get pregnant, putting her career ahead of family, and now it's not working the way she wants it to. She's regretting just her choices, I guess, and it's just all boiling inside her. She just doesn't know how to handle it. So she's going to lash out at Hen, she's going to lash out at Denny, and she's just going to curl up in bed and try not to face any of it.
But there are people who are also worried about Hen. We have at Buck's place. Where is this?
Yeah,
No,
it's Buck's Loft.
Okay. Chim and Maddie are there having dinner with Buck. And Chim's is complaining that he wants to help her, but she's not talking to me about it. And there's, Buck agrees there's something going on with her, but also Eddie. Something going on with Eddie too. And he thinks maybe it's the Santa Anas. Oh, they make people act weird.
Yeah, Maddie doesn't think it's the wind.
No.
And maybe it's something personal she doesn't feel like sharing, which Chim rebuts with, well, historically speaking, Hen and I tell each other everything.
Which Maddie's like, wait, everything? Including about me? And Chim's like, no, I didn't tell her about you, only because I didn't get the chance to. But if I'd had the chance to, I definitely would have told her about you.
Yeah!
Maddie is not impressed that they tell each other everything.
Because she knows how the 118 works. Like, she tells Chim, she tells Hen, she tells Chim, Chim tells Hen tells Buck tells everybody. And suddenly what was once a secret, now every single person in the 118 knows. And Buck says that this is because that's how they survive 24-hour shifts, by talking about each other and each other's significant others and families and friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a long time to have to spend with your workmates in a row.
Yeah,
24 hours.
Especially if you're not busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a Q-word shift.
Mm. Well, it's a good thing they all get along with each other nowadays.
Well, at least the 4-5 do.
Or now they do.
Oh, that's
Last
what
week
I
was
was going to
bit.
mention. In the dinner scene, there was one other firefighter on the table with everyone else.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Jeez.
It was a I feel like she was blonde, and I don't remember. I feel like we've seen her before, but yeah, she was like also looking horrified at Buck picking up the salt.
I wonder how she got picked. Did they like draw straws?
Yeah, right? Like, there was an empty chair and she just like jumped into it, and the others were just like, oh wow, fuck that bitch.
Did they like, she took somebody's shift, or like, I will clean the toilets for a week if you let me have lunch with the 18.
Please let me have some of Athena's brisket, please. It smells so good.
Back to the Buckley dinner. Maddie confesses to Buck why she's not working at the moment, and explains that a woman filed a complaint against her because she said that Maddie was stalking her, although Maddie thinks that stalking is a bit of an overstatement. I don't think that it's an overstatement. I think she was literally stalking It's a statement. It's an exact statement.
So I don't think therapy's going too well, but
no.
But Jim explains that the woman called 911. Maddie just tried to help her, and Maddie's like, yeah, but she didn't want my help because she thinks I'm a crazy person who invaded her privacy. Maybe there's a lesson in there for the two of you. And it's like, Maddie out.
Jim takes 2 seconds, like not even 2 seconds, and then immediately turns back to Buck and goes, so what do you think's going on with Eddie?
And Maddie's just like, for fuck's sake.
Maddie whips around like, what? Did you not just hear what I said?
They are gossips, the lot of them.
Oh, I love it.
Speaking about what's going on with Eddie is back in Fight Club. It must be Friday night now.
He is currently getting beaten in the face.
Yeah, there's fighting, there's sweat, there's shirtlessness.
There's some fighting. Yeah, there's some punching.
Then Eddie gets the upper hand on his opponent, and to the point that his opponent is just sort of standing there with this like dopey look on his face. And so Eddie executes the coup de grace and just snap kicks him in the face and drops him. And like the crowd goes wild, and Eddie's like, he's basking in the glory, and then he realizes that his opponent is like choking and unable to breathe. And so MMA fighter Eddie gets replaced by paramedic Eddie, who immediately drops to check in on the guy.
And he's like, someone call 911, and the promoter goes, are you crazy? I'm not calling anyone. This place is illegal. Like,
everybody in this building is not meant to be here. We're not calling the authorities down.
He'll be fine. We don't need to call 911.
Yeah, he's not fine, because Eddie rolls him into a recovery position and clears the airway that's blocked, and discovers a piece of his nose.
Yeah, it's literally like a bit of like cartilage or bone or whatever.
Yes.
That Eddie knocked into his cranial cavity.
And then it fell down his throat.
And the guy's going to start leaking spinal fluid. Like, what the fuck, Eddie?
Yeah, I don't know if that's how anatomy works, but ugh. Yuck.
Let's just go for the drama. Basically, Eddie's literally kicked the crap out of the guy, and he's going to die if they don't
kick the
get
snot out of him.
Not
literally.
Eventually they do call 911.
Well, Eddie calls 911.
He grabs someone's phone. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. There's this guy who just so happens to be standing right next to the cage with like phone in his hand, right in the gap between two of the panels. And so Eddie can very easily reach through the gap, yank this guy's phone, and call 911.
He just like, because the bookie's still like, don't call, and Eddie just like holds the phone up, dials 911 while maintaining eye contact.
Yep.
And puts it up to his ear, just like, fuck you, what are you going to do about it?
And who should show up at the scene? But I can't remember what the number is. Do you remember the number of the
I think it's the 136. I think I was wrong last week. I think I said the 137.
Okay.
But I think
believe
Bobby
you.
tells us
It's
a little
Lena,
bit later
whoever
it's
it
the
is,
136. So basically it's
Lena.
It's Lena and Captain Cooper, who has two arms again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Is one of them a prosthetic?
I don't know if we can tell, but he very definitely has two arms.
Oh, I didn't notice he had two arms again. Anyway, They check the guy.
But the important point is that
no
Lena
one's
is
around.
there.
Yeah, Lena's there. Everyone's cleared out. Like there's no one around, but they find the guy. He's sort of sitting up against the edge of the cage.
Where Eddie propped him up.
He's also semi-conscious, which is kind of weird, but sure.
They check him out, and Lena notices that the bit of the guy's nose, like just a little bit of bone or whatever,
Which can you just imagine? Like Eddie has pulled this out of this guy's mouth. He's then propped the guy up against the side of the cage and then very carefully placed the bone off cartilage shard down on the ground where someone will find it.
Yeah. And then Lena works out what it is immediately. She's like looking at it going, is this part of his nose? I'm like, wow, Lena's got the magical,
She can diagnose someone just by looking at them?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. It appears to be a prosthetic.
Oh,
you're still on the arm.
Yeah, I'm still on the arm. I don't know what you guys were doing. It's because it's like down to his side and it's carrying something, but it's a different color and it's like moving stiffly.
Okay.
So it looks like it. Yeah, it's definitely prosthetic.
All right, that's good to know.
Still, like I'm amazed that they
continuity.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's probably easier for someone like Captain Cooper to come back to work because the captain can very easily not be active on a scene. They can just stand back and be supervisory.
True.
So he doesn't really need two arms.
But yeah, literally lost an arm and they were just like, oh no, Buck's on blood thinners. Like, better not let him back.
To be fair, that was Bobby. That wasn't the LAFD.
That was Bobby, yeah.
That was Bobby. So obviously Captain Cooper didn't have a Bobby in his house that was like, no, sorry dude, you lost an arm, you can't come back yet. Anyway, so Lena has noticed the bone shard. Cooper says that whoever was there obviously knows what they're doing. We have a quick shot of Eddie lurking in sort of the catwalk above the warehouse. And as he ducks out of sight, the movement sort of catches Lena's eye. And she's like, it's that fucking Diaz, isn't it? So the next scene is she's tracked Eddie down and she's confronting him.
Yeah, she's like, so are you the one who saved him or the one who almost killed him?
Why can't it be both?
Both. Yeah. ¿Por qué no las dos?
Okay, just to be thirsty for a moment, and I know that Eddie's haircut is terrible, but he looks great in this scene.
Oh, he looks so good in this scene. Like, ignoring the haircut, like the scruffiness and like, oh.
And the pout, like the angry pout is working for him.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Just FYI, he absolutely would not be allowed that stubble in the LAFD because it stops the masks from fitting properly, which is also why they're only allowed the mustache and not the...
Look, I'm going to say that this is their 96 off. So they've finished...
he just hasn't shaved.
He just, he got off his last 24 on and he just hasn't shaved. And this is like the end of the 3 days.
Like, where's Chris? Who knows? Don't care. Fight Club.
I'm assuming Carla...
Where is Chris?
At night? Like, oh yeah, I'm working.
Well, I don't know. How old is Chris at this point? Would Eddie be comfortable leaving Chris alone overnight?
No, he's only like 10 or
he's like 10 and he didn't even want to give him to a sleepover.
So I'm assuming he's like, oh, I've got a date or something, and so Carla has come over for...
Or maybe he's given in to his abuela.
Yeah.
Or his tia.
Maybe Josephine, maybe Abuela has him, but again, the show doesn't care about that.
Anyway, Eddie looks real good.
Eddie does
been
look
abandoned
good
somewhere, but Eddie looks good.
He doesn't want to talk to Lena. He needs to get out of there before LAPD shows up.
Speaking of, guess who shows up?
He doesn't want to go back to jail.
So Lena shrugs out of her turnout coat, and like, bless her for thinking that it would fit Eddie, because they're very different sizes.
Yeah, right.
But she tells him to put the turnout coat on so that she doesn't have to bail him out of jail again. So I'm guessing...
Which is fair.
The idea is he puts that on and then he can walk out of the scene looking like he's part of the 136. Then he can get into his truck and drive off and no one will be any the wiser. That's the idea.
His fancy new truck.
Anyway. His fancy new truck, which is parked pretty much exactly where the emergency vehicles are.
Yeah, it's like right out the front.
And why, like the LAPD aren't going to be taking license plate details?
They're just like, oh, that firefighter just came in his brand new black truck. Seems fine.
It seems to work though, because they do get out to his truck.
They do.
And they have, even though there is a squad car parked just down the lot in front of the warehouse, Eddie feels comfortable talking to Lena now.
Yeah, just openly. It's fine. They're not in a rush.
So we find out that the reason that Eddie has been promoted to the big times is that the promoter guy, the bookie, saw him at the junkyard fights a few weeks ago and offered him a shot in the big leagues. And says that it, in the understatement of the year, it pays pretty good.
So yeah, Lena kind of yells at him a bit.
Yeah, I don't. Is she upset that he got in and she didn't? Like, she's like, you're not supposed to be.
No, I think
it's because he almost killed
someone
tonight.
I think she sees that he's taking it, and it's supposed to be a healthy out. Like she says, it's supposed to be a healthy outlet. It's supposed to be like you get on, you work off some steam, and then you go about your business. You're not meant to be making a career out of this.
And he's also not supposed to be almost killing people.
Yes, and then Eddie shoots back the rules of Fight Club, which is tap out or knockout.
Yeah, and she says that he couldn't even keep his hands up to protect himself, so you shouldn't have taken the cheap shot, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, I don't want to hear it, just say it.
And Lena, who has already said, I don't like therapists, goes, Eddie, you need to talk to someone.
But she doesn't, I don't know if she necessarily means a therapist, but he just doesn't, he needs to talk to someone. He needs to use his words, not his hands. Like, literally.
Mm-hmm. So we're going back to Athena's place, and she's got drinks out again. So this time she's got like one of those canister things like on the bench that looks like iced tea or something in it.
I was wondering if it was sweet tea.
Yeah. But it looks really refreshing, and when I was watching this I was like, oh yeah, I could go some iced tea right now. But yeah, Hen's there, so they're sitting on the patio area having a drink and a gossip.
Yes.
So Hen wonders where everyone is, and Athena says that Bobby found an ice rink and he wanted to teach May and Harry how to skate.
It's so cute. Like, I love that they reminded him of his figure skating days, and he's just like, oh my god, kids, we're going ice skating. This is the best. Let's go.
Yeah, he's
he
all
just
into
saw
it again
blood
now.
everywhere
Like,
on an ice rink, but he's just like, oh my god, kids, let's go.
Adorable.
Athena was not interested in going because she is not interested in any athletic activity that requires a parka. You know, it's fair.
No Big Bear for her.
Only if she's like
only if she can stay in the cabin.
Around it. Yeah.
Like, she'd probably be happy to sort of stay in the cabin on the bearskin rug in front of the fire, you know, drinking a hot toddy or
Glass
something.
of wine.
But yeah, but like out in the
Mind
snow.
you, ice skating's like hot work. Like, I don't think I ever wore. Like, you wear a jumper, I guess, to get there. But when you're skating, you definitely don't need a jumper.
Oh no! But if she went skating, then she wouldn't be here for like Hen's therapy session. Exactly.
Yeah. She asked, what's going on with you? And she heard about what happened with the IVF, and here we go with the 118 telephone again, because Chim told Bobby, Bobby told you. Bobby can't keep a secret to himself. We know that.
But it's that thing that, you know, spouses are exempt from secrets.
Yeah, when someone says don't tell anyone,
it's like everyone
you're going to tell your spouse.
Except your husband or your wife or your significant other. Like, they get an immediate pass.
It's to the point now, because I don't have a significant other, but my best friends do, and I will share, like, I'll send things to them. I've got their significant others, like, numbers, and I've got one of them on Facebook, one of them doesn't have Facebook, but I'll send stuff to them and be like, oh my god, this is for your husband. Like, I don't want to talk to them directly, but, like, I think that your, like, other half would appreciate this.
Oh.
And you just kind of understand that whatever your secret
They're
you're
a package
telling,
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get shared with them. You just hope that their significant other understands that, like, it stops with them. They cannot then take that and then talk to anybody else about it.
Exactly.
But in this instance, yes, Chim told Bobby. Bobby told Athena. Athena is just a little bit upset that Hen didn't tell her directly.
Which is understandable.
This is so sweet, though. Hen says, you had so much on your plate. And Athena says, there's always room for you. Like,
yeah.
Oh, besties. I love them.
They are so sweet.
Hen explains that she thought they would have gone through it because on the day they got the news, they, lay in bed and held each other and cried and grieved. And then at some point she got up, but Karen is still lying in the bed.
And Hen can see that Karen is struggling, but she's angry with her for that struggle because selfishly it's affecting Hen.
Denny.
And Denny, yeah. She doesn't want to be angry at Karen, but she is because Karen, from the end of last season, her new job is like working from home. So she's at home. She's sort of responsible for Denny more than Hen is. So Hen comes home after doing, 24 hours on shift and the house is a mess. And Denny's parked in front of the TV with like a box of cereal. And Karen's in bed. And it's frustrating Hen.
And she feels terrible for saying that out loud, but she and Denny need Karen to get over it, kind of thing. But Athena says, you're not a terrible person. You haven't said it to her, but you're saying it to me because you're worried and frustrated and exhausted.
It's one of those things where you just need to get the words out.
Yeah, and that's
and
okay.
Hopefully now that she's got them out in a safe space, she can start to process and maybe release some of the anger and frustration.
And Athena's so lovely here. She says, you got me.
Until Karen comes back, yeah.
Yeah.
We all need a bestie like Athena.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right, time for
Or Daddy Bobby.
I was thinking Daddy Bobby, but he's not. He's dad. He's not daddy in this scene.
Yeah.
Bobby, the father of the 118, is about to scold one of his sons because Eddie walks in and he doesn't even get within spitting distance of the change room, and Bobby is ordering him up to the kitchen to talk to him.
With the last name.
Yeah, it's not Eddie, it's Diaz. Get your ass up here.
Yep.
But as Eddie starts to head to the stairs to head up to the loft, Lena is coming down the stairs and tells Eddie that she just talked to his captain. And Eddie's immediately angry and on the defensive because he knows what he thinks he knows what she said. And he's like, I thought we were friends. And Lena's just like, what's the name of my cat? Like, I know everything about you. What is the name of my cat?
Yeah, I know about your kid and your dead wife and your arrest record and the guy you almost killed. So what's the name of my cat?
And Eddie's just like, I have no freaking idea. And Lena's like, that's my point. It is a one-way street with you. We are not friends. And she sort of walks away and then turns around and goes, oh, and by the way, I don't actually have a cat. Trick question. But it proves my point. You didn't even know that I didn't have a cat.
Yep. Not like Ellen, who has a cat named Bluey.
Oh, see, we're friends.
Yeah, we're friends. We know about pets.
Mostly because I'm just complaining about him being a dingus. Anyway.
Oh, we love Bluey.
I love Bluey too, but he's ginger. And yeah, that explains everything. So Eddie goes upstairs and he's like, I don't know what Bosco told you. And Bobby's like, no, Captain Cooper called me. And he recognized you from the tsunami, even though I don't think he was lying on a gurney, like with his arm off when he saw Eddie. So,
and I'm pretty sure Eddie, like in the trivia of this episode, it says that Eddie didn't actually have any 118 identifiers on him during the tsunami.
And also at this point in this scene, Eddie was like all the way over by the tents, and Lena had to run across to meet Cooper on the gurney as they were wheeling him in. So
yeah, I mean, maybe they met later.
No, they said at the that is because this is the only scene in which Cooper and Eddie are in the same place at the same time. So obviously when the writers were writing this, like, wait, would they have, oh yeah, they're at the scene. Yes, they were in this scene. They were in this scene at the same place at the same time. That's where he recognized him from. And nobody's actually gone back and looked at it and went, well, actually, there is no way he could have physically seen Eddie.
I guess Captain Cooper, while in immense pain from having his arm cut off in the field, saw Eddie at a distance talking to Lena, and then during this fight, during the fight scene, he saw Eddie in the distance talking to Lena, and was just like, oh, I'm sure it's the same person.
But
the same, like, vague outline is probably the same one.
But how did he see him? Because he was flat on his back. Like, if he was propped up in the gurney, I could understand.
There isn't really any way he could have seen him, yeah.
But it's just magic.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, okay, fine, I will.
Lena's just like, oh my god, there was this guy that I was hanging out with from the 118, and he has, like, a shaved head. It's a really shitty haircut, but the guy's real hot. And then Captain Cooper was just like, oh, look, it's a guy with a really shitty haircut that Lena's talking to. Must be that guy from the 118 that she was hanging out with. Better call Bobby.
Anyway, so yeah, Lena didn't... The point of this is that Lena didn't say anything to Bobby. Captain Cooper got in first, and then he must have told Lena that he had called Bobby, because Lena then raced over to kind of defend Eddie.
Yeah, Lena was there to defend Eddie,
Yes.
and Eddie jumped down her throat.
Mm-hmm.
That she ratted him out when she didn't. So, way to go, Eddie.
Yeah, apparently, unless you're Buck, and even if you are Buck, you get treated shittily by Eddie Diaz.
Oh, if he's mad at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
if he's mad at you. Like, I said it last time, I do not want Eddie to be mad at me.
No.
But Eddie and Bobby have a little heart-to-heart here. And Eddie just gets progressively more and more upset the more he speaks. And it's so heartbreaking because I think this is the first time we've really seen him break down at all, right?
It's the first time
I don't think we've ever seen him cry before.
There was, I think, the implication that he was, when he was reading the letter that Shannon...
he was sobbing.
He
at
was
the
sitting on the beach,
crying.
But sort of in that situation, he was by himself, so he could sort of lose control because nobody was watching him. But here, Bobby is sitting right in front of him. So he's like trying desperately to hold on to control in front of his boss, his pseudo father figure, but he's just unable to do it. And that control is that he already had a very tenuous grip on is just slipping further and further away.
Yeah, he explains that he needs to be strong in control for Christopher. Doesn't want to let him down because he's the only parent he's got left. And, he was like, he didn't think he wanted to bring Shannon back into Christopher's life because she already left once and broke his heart, and guess what? She did it again. And Bobby's like, yeah, but she died.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking, this scene. Where Bobby's like, she died, Eddie.
It's not like she chose to leave. She died, and Eddie's like, yeah, but she was going to leave because she asked me for a divorce.
And the way, like, you can tell Eddie feels like a failure the way that he says this.
Yeah.
Because he can't even, like, it takes him a couple goes just to get out that she wanted a divorce.
He needs therapy so bad.
He's mad at a dead person, and he's mad at himself, and so he's taking it out on everyone else. Like, on the people in the ring, on himself, on Autumn, apparently.
Perfect timing, Papa.
What?
Who's Autumn? I didn't know you had a dog.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, we're not friends anymore. No. Okay. Where are we up to?
A commercial.
Pseudo Amazon warehouse accident.
Oh, this. Okay. Oh, God, this scene. I was just, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Behemoth Warehouse, not Amazon, because they can't say Amazon, but Behemoth Warehouse, where their manager has decided that the pickers are too slow, and bathroom breaks is the reason that they're too slow, so he's banning bathroom breaks. which would be fine, except Jerome really needs to pee.
When the guy says, we've already wasted a minute here because we had to stop and have this chat, so quit your whining and go light a fire under it. And I was like, oh, there's going to be a fire? Because usually they signal like what's going to happen ahead of time.
Yeah.
But in this case, no.
So the signaling was not the fires, it was the bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that the manager is so angry at the workers being so slow is that they have these robots in the warehouse. I don't think they're picking and packing orders, but whatever they're doing, they are faster than their human counterparts.
Yeah, they're like moving stuff around the warehouse.
Yeah. So Jerome decides to take revenge on the robots and deal with his overfull bladder all in one fell swoop, because when he turns to, I guess, pack the next order, there is a robot right in front of him, so he drops trowel and pees on it.
I was watching this going, is he peeing on a robot?
Yep.
What?
Such a weird scene.
But yeah, a little bit later, the robot starts malfunctioning and crashes into, like, it goes around in circles for a little bit first.
Number one, I don't see, the robots must be very shittily designed that the liquid can get into the inner workings like that.
Yeah.
I would have thought that they would have been a little bit more hardy. Anyway.
And if the liquid got in, it would just short it out and it would stop, rather than going around in circles and crashing into stuff. But anyway, for the drama,
and then for the drama,
not only does it crashes into shelves, which then knocks boxes off one shelf, and those boxes then land on the shelves perpendicular to the first shelf, which then just completely, all of those shelves just start falling and collapsing and boxes going everywhere. And I'm just like, what are in those boxes that they can destroy a shelf just by crashing into it?
Yeah.
Again, for the drama.
A little confusing, but yes, it looked cool.
It did look cool, and the result was that Jerome ends up pinned under a very heavy steel shelf and boxes. And his co-worker has to call 911 and tells the dispatch that the robots are attacking.
Of course they are. It was just one robot, but obviously they must have seen what happened.
I don't even know how they saw the robot do it, but anyway. 118 get dispatched, and we go to the ambulance where Hen's driving, Chim is riding shotgun. And Chimney, they've obviously passed the robots are attacking call through to the 118, and Chim is just going off about our future robot overlords and how terrifying the future is going to be.
But Hen's not paying attention.
No. Hen is a little distracted, again. But Chim tells her that he needs his partner back. He can't do this without her. So she kind of gathers herself and says, yes, I'm with you. He's going, great, let's go put down this robot revolution. And in a little bit of foreshadowing, Hen says, hey, not all automation is bad. And she hits a button on the dash, which is I've got it written down here somewhere. It's the traffic preempt button. Mm-hmm. And the formerly red light in front of them turns green, allowing them to pass through the intersection.
Okay, do we want to talk about this now, or do we want to talk about it later? Because I don't understand this button.
Okay, so let's talk about it now.
Because, okay, so there's a red light in front of them.
Yep.
They push a button and it immediately turns to green.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works in real life.
No. I know, it doesn't.
Because, the people going through the other way would be on a green light, and then it just suddenly turns to red, and then, they're just supposed to slam on the right. I don't understand. I was like, what?
No, the fire engine would need to slow down, at least.
We don't have these in Australia, do we?
Queensland has them in some regions. And about 10 years ago, they trialled it in southeast Melbourne in a particular section.
They probably tried the Springvale intersection, and they were just like, yeah, that didn't fucking work.
Well,
the lights there never work anyway.
Apparently it was very successful. I don't know, everything that I read said it was successful.
I seem to remember it was to do with rather than just having a button that would change the lights for you, I believe I heard about this back then when they were trying it out in Queensland, that they would work out the route from the fire engine from the station to where they were going, and they would program the lights along the route to be favourable for the engine.
That's how the ones in Queensland work. Once you get the 911 call, or the 000 call in our instance, as soon as the emergency vehicle leaves the garage, the system is activated and traffic control work out the best route, and they change the lights along that route to allow for the emergency vehicle to get through quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The one in Los Angeles kind of works the same way. It is like a button in the trucks, but it works in advance. So it's not going to work on the intersection like right in front of you, but it works for all of the intersections that you're coming up to, and it gives everybody a warning that the lights are going to change before the lights change. But there is still the instructions to firefighters is do not rely on the fact that you've hit the button and that the lights will be green. You still need to slow down and check because, for instance, a pedestrian may just step out in front of the road.
Yeah.
So they should still be slowing down, clearing the intersection before going through it. So it's not going to work the way it does on the show, but they're doing it this way for the drama.
Yeah, okay, no, that, like, I was so confused because I was like, the poor people that are, like, coming up to the light just to have a sudden red light and have to slam on the brakes.
Could you imagine that? Like, you're driving up, you get right to the part where you enter the intersection, all of a sudden your green light is immediately red. So you slam on your brakes.
There's no orange.
The
it's just
person
red.
behind you slams on their brakes and probably slams
you make
into
a big problem. But to be like in reality, that's why they have the sirens as well. So you hear a siren, you slow down and look around to see where the
well, theoretically, yes, but as we see, that's not what happens in this episode.
No, not in this
and
episode.
like even in real life, yeah, you can hear the sirens, but like if your music's up loud, it takes a long time for you to be able to hear them.
Or if you're like me and you're listening to K-pop and a certain producer decides that he's going to put sirens in all of his songs, so you don't know, are you listening to, is it a siren in the song or is it an actual siren around you somewhere?
No.
That was literally like when Ellen was like, hey, do we want to make a 911 podcast? I'm like, as long as there's no sirens in it at all, because I can't stand when I'm listening to something and there's sirens.
Yeah, but we definitely don't have this system in where I am, because the other day I was sitting at the lights and my direction went green as an ambulance was approaching from the other way. So I'm watching to see what everybody is going to do, and thankfully we've all been well taught. So all of the people who had right of way suddenly just stopped and let the ambulance come through.
Yeah,
even
I'm
though
pretty
they
sure
were
it's
on
not.
a red.
Yeah,
it's definitely not everywhere in Queensland, because I've definitely had some approaching red lights and needing to go through.
Yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 suburbs that they trialled it in.
Also, to be fair of Tasmania, there were probably like 3 cars on the road, so...
Hey, it was a heavy intersection. There were at least 20. But yes, so long story short, the system that we do sort of have it in Australia. It does exist in reality in Los Angeles. It does not work the way that they work it in the show.
Okay, cool. Because, was very confused.
Yeah. But they get through the intersection, they get to Behemoth Warehouse with the rest of the 118, and they start working on Jerome. And they discover why, as Jerome's co-worker is sort of explaining what happens, Buck is investigating the robot, and he's the one, our exposition firefighter is the one who realizes that it's really gross. He's like, he's examining the robot and he sort of touches it and then brings his hand up to his nose.
Yeah, then sniffs it.
It doesn't even have gloves on.
It must be wet.
Gross, Buck. And turns out he's like, did you pee on it?
Oh, it's such a ridiculous storyline. I hope this wasn't pulled from the headlines.
I don't
Well-
think so. So Eddie immediately asks, why would you pee on the robot? And Jerome explains that the supervisor wouldn't let them go to the toilet. Bobby goes, oh, where is your supervisor? And Jerome's co-worker just immediately spins around and points straight at the manager. He's just like, wait, what did I do?
Yeah.
Bobby tells him not to go anywhere because OSHA is going to have some questions for him. But in the meantime, they need to get the shelving unit off Jerome so that Hen and Chim can work on him. I do like this. This is hilarious. So they lift this shelving so that it comes up simultaneously. So it's not putting extra pressure when they lift the front part up. And then for like 0.2 of a second, everything is fine. And then all of a sudden, blood starts spurting out of his leg and spurting out of his arm.
Ew. They only show it for a fraction of a second, but it's like, yeah, it's really coming out of there. And they're like, oh my god,
See,
femoral
like-
artery, let's go.
Yeah, Hen's got the brachial artery, Chim's taking the femoral artery. See, that I can understand blood spray. Fingers, not so much. But this one I can understand.
Yeah.
But the arteries are so damaged, they're recoiling back up. So Chim needs to apply a clamp and a tourniquet to his leg, the one on his leg, I think.
Yeah, Chim's got the leg, Hen's got the arm. She's having trouble finding the artery to clamp it, so she has Eddie pin Jerome to the ground so she can dig around inside his arm trying to find the artery.
I know, the poor guy, but like if they don't do this, he's going to bleed out. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's screaming that he should have just wet his pants.
Yeah.
But in a nice little callback to the beginning of the episode, Hen gets her artery clamped. Chim's still having trouble and asks for another. He doesn't even get to finish his sentence, and Hen's already handing him the tool that he wanted.
I think it was a clamp.
I'm assuming it's another clamp. Yeah. But it's just, like, the beginning of the episode, he wanted trauma shears, she handed him something else. This time she is absolutely on the ball, and she's anticipating his needs, and she's back.
Jerome also crashes after they get the tourniquets on him, but they do CPR and get him back.
And get him back, it's a non-issue, it's fine.
And yeah, like it all seems really good.
Would have been funny if he'd, like, not funny, but kind of sad if he'd actually not made it. And then they'd be like, oh, how did he die? It's like, he peed on a robot, so it killed him.
The robot killed him.
In retaliation. But no, he's fine.
Also, tourniquets, I don't think we've, like, spoken about tourniquets much on this show, but they, like, so I am first aid trained. They very much emphasize, like, they don't teach it in basic first aid anymore, how to do tourniquets, because generally doing a tourniquet is almost an immediate, like, loss of limb.
Oh.
Yeah, because you're literally cutting off the blood supply.
Because you're literally cutting off the blood supply.
Which is great if you've got, like, a broken artery and you're pumping blood out.
Yeah, like, in this case, like, the guy would have died. But, the way to, like, apply it properly cuts off the entire blood supply. So they, the way to sort of try and save it is by releasing the pressure every so often and then tightening it again. But if the guy's, like, not got enough blood to do that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you ever find yourself in a position where you do have to do a tourniquet, hopefully you never have to because they're awful.
They definitely don't recommend it for snake bite anymore.
No, you can't. Don't do it on a snake bite because the tourniquet's not going to help. No. But yeah, they say write the time, and like even if you've got no pen and paper, literally just use the guy's blood and write it on the forehead.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like if there's nothing else to use, like if you don't have a pen and you're
you need to make a record
in the middle of nowhere.
It's just like,
because if they get to it within a certain time, they can release it and then tighten it again.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be trying to scrub that from my brain before I go to bed tonight.
Whereas if it's been like, several hours, they can't do that because it'll get the toxic blood back in.
Yep.
So yeah, try and write the time down. Anyway, that's tourniquets. Please don't do one unless you know what you're doing, but they're almost a guaranteed loss of limb.
Well, hopefully after what happens next, somebody is keeping an eye on Jerome and how long he's had those tourniquets on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's it. Like, in a situation like this, hopefully it won't be a loss of limb because generally they'll take him straight to hospital, so
Yes.
it should only be a small amount of time.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway.
But that's not
Unfortunately,
what
that's not
happened.
what
It all
happens.
It all seems
Yeah.
great. Bobby's like, yeah, great work today. Chim's like, yeah, she's back.
Jerome is joking in the back of the ambulance about getting a catheter because if he gets a catheter, then he'll be able to go to the bathroom whenever he wants.
Yeah. So yeah, Jerome's in good spirits.
Chim's in the back with Jerome. Hen is driving.
The rest of the 118 have gone back to the station while
No,
Chim and Hen...
They're not back at the station yet. They're still at the scene.
No, but they're going back to the station.
Yeah,
like,
but
the ambulance goes ahead and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rest of the 118 aren't with them.
Yeah. So Hen's driving. Chim calls up to her that he thinks that Jerome might have a head injury because he's joking about wanting a catheter. Hen tells Jerome/Chim to hold on, and she hits she approaches an intersection where she has a red light. She hits that traffic exempt button again and continues driving when suddenly a car appears on the right hand side, and there's basically a split second where the driver looks at Hen and the Hen looks at the driver, and then suddenly the ambulance just slams into the side of the car.
And it screeches along the road a little bit before they come to a stop.
Yeah, because brakes take a little while to kick in, especially if you're going at speed.
Yeah, they're both going very quick.
And then we get pretty much the David Wallace scene again.
It's funny because when I watched this episode, then went and had dinner, and I was like, oh yeah, it was that one, and Mum's like, the poor cello, and I'm just like, yeah, it's just David Wallace all over again. And then I read the notes and I'm like, oh, just David Wallace all over again.
So it's a couple of minutes of the show trying to desperately get the audience to connect with this poor woman in the blue car so that her inevitable death hits even harder. I don't fucking care. Because
but the music's really well done.
Oh,
it is a really well done scene.
The music, I unfortunately have been conditioned by the West Wing that anytime I hear this suite, I immediately assume something bad is going to happen.
Oh,
really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, like we already know something bad's going to happen, so that doesn't help.
Yeah,
Why does something bad happen when the Bach suite plays?
In the West Wing, it's the Christmas episode, Noel. Yo-Yo Ma is invited to the West Wing to play, and this is the song that he performs for the president. Meanwhile,
Yo-Yo Ma classic.
the Deputy Chief of Staff is having a PTSD-related panic because in the previous season he was shot when someone tried to assassinate the president, and now he equates music...
While this song played?
No, but he equates music to sirens. So he's hearing the music and his brain's interpreting that as the sirens and the screams of the crowd from when he was shot, and like he nearly died in the shooting. So Josh is completely flipping out. But unfortunately, after watching Noel, every time I hear this song, it always seems to be something bad is going to happen in that scene. This is no exception. But I guess the reason I don't particularly care about this is when the inevitable death happens, I don't care particularly that she died. I'm more concerned with Hen.
Yeah,
and
it's
I think
definitely more of
we would still get the same emotional impact if we went straight from Hen hitting the car to her responding to the car accident, and we didn't actually know anything about Evelyn.
Yeah.
I think it's more... I don't know. I like the impact where it's like... So, basically, Evelyn's a cellist. She's the youngest soloist in LA Philharmonic Symphony history. Which takes after her grandmother. It's her debut tonight. So she's on the way. She goes to see her grandma because grandma was the one who encouraged her to pick up the cello rather than play piano. So she visits grandma. Grandma says how proud she is of her. She goes and picks up her dress. She's on the phone with her mum.
It's just they're so heavy-handed.
It's very heavy-handed,
It's
but
like
I
she's the youngest cellist. It's the perfect day. She's about to do her debut. Like everything is sunshine
Everyone's
and roses.
so proud
Isn't
of
it?
her.
Isn't it so horrible that such like a young, beautiful, perfect person has died? And I'm just like, why does just gonna? Maybe I'm just getting old and cynical I'm getting cynical in my old age, and I just don't care.
Well, I was watching it with my musician hat on, and because it really annoys me when they have actors pretending to play instruments in scene.
Ooh.
But no, she really the music that they were playing over the top of her playing probably wasn't her playing. It sounded like an actual professional
recording. Yeah.
But she was playing it like her fingers were moving at the right times for playing it.
I wonder if they cast a cellist.
No, I looked it up. The girl's name is Annie Thurman, and she does play the cello.
So they do cast a cellist.
So
that's nice.
yeah.
So I love that Ellen
That's
looks
cool.
up nothing for these episodes,
Yeah,
but as soon as
that's
it's
nice.
music, Ellen's like, hang on, I have some research to do.
I do look up things, but in this case I was really interested to see if she actually was a cellist that they put in. But after the crash, the song that they play is...
It's a Max Richter song.
Yes, it's Max Richter. It's called On the Nature of Daylight, and it is a heavy contributor to the heartbreak of this scene,
Oh, yeah.
as well as Hen just completely losing it. So after we do get the crash again, and we see that Evelyn is sort of lying on the passenger seat. Was she wearing a seatbelt?
She was wearing a seatbelt, because in that quick split-second shot we got of her as she's looking at Hen, she has a seatbelt on her. So I don't know how she ended up lying sideways on the front seat if she had a seatbelt on.
For the drama.
For the drama, yeah, it has to be for the drama.
So Hen and Chim are trying to get her, get into the car so they can check her out.
Hen's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Chim calls in for help, and the rest of the 118.
Chim doesn't know what's
turn up.
going on because he was in the back.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need to get Jerome to the hospital.
Yeah, he's still focused on his patient, and Hen's like, no, there's a girl in the car.
So Chim calls dispatch, he requesting assistance, and pretty much as soon as his voice comes over the radio, the rest of the 118 is already moving. They're still at the scene packing up. Before Chim has even finished talking, Bobby's on the radio going, the rest of the 118 is responding. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So they scramble to get into their rigs. Our exposition firefighter asks who was driving, and Bobby very somberly says Hen was driving. And just before he climbs into the truck, we see him pull out his phone and call Athena.
Oh, but, best Athena episode so far. He knows already
What's going to happen?
that Hen needs his best.
So you're saying the best Athena episode is the one where she's not actually doing her job?
No, Bethina.
Oh,
Bobby
Bethina.
and Athena. Yeah. But yes. No, they're just so married in this episode. I love it so much.
They are, yeah.
They preempt each other's needs and movements in this episode. Anyway.
Back at the scene, I think what's really heartbreaking as well about this is that they can see that the driver who, in the aspirational, inspirational, oh my god, isn't life great montage we had before, the girl went to get a cup of coffee, and the baristas, because it was her one perfect day, the baristas heard her name correctly and then wrote it on her coffee cup correctly. So Hen is able to see the coffee cup in the car and knows the name, so she's talking to Evelyn. They can't get to her because they can't get the door open. And all of the tools to get into the car are on the ladder truck and the engine truck.
They're going to try and break the glass, but then the trucks turn up. And
Bobby immediately jumps into action. He's like, saws and jaws, Eddie, get the extra first aid kit. And then literally hauls Hen to the other side of the road.
Yeah,
he's got her by the shoulders and he's dragging her.
Yeah, Hen's like, I need to work on her. And Bobby's like, this is procedure. We've got this. I need you to stand over here.
He literally holds her in place until he's sure that she's not going to bolt.
Yep.
Yeah, and poor Hen's just standing there on her own watching as the rest of them manage to get her out of the car.
Yep. Yeah, so Buck opens the door with the jaws. Chim's, like, talking to her, trying to get her to respond, and Buck just says quietly to Bobby, there's more blood in the car than in her body.
Like I said, exposition firefighter.
He's doing his job great this
He's
episode.
doing a really good job.
Does Athena's food need salt? Exposition firefighter says no.
It's seasoned perfectly, or at least Athena thinks it is. So they get Evelyn out of the car. They start CPR on her, and while Eddie and Chim are working on her, Bobby and Buck are kind of watching Hen. Suddenly, Athena appears, and Hen just cannot comprehend what Athena is like. Where did Athena come from? What is she doing there? How did she get there? And Athena says that Bobby called her.
Yeah, so Hen says that she slowed down. She thought she had the green.
And she starts sort of just talking really fast, trying to explain herself. But Athena can see that there are people behind Hen, and one of them has a phone out, and they're obviously filming the accident. But I'm sure that Hen is like in frame, and that the microphone could probably pick up what she's saying.
You can actually hear, like, the bystanders who have the phones, they're just like, oh, like someone was hit. I think she hit the car. And that's when Athena goes, like, into best friend but also a cop mode. And is like, I love you, but you need to shut up. Because Hen's babbling this whole time, like, I hit her. And Athena drags her, like, over to the other side of the truck so she's out of the view of the camera and goes, listen to me. There's going to be an investigation and it starts now. LAFD and LAPD, they're going to roll up to the scene with lots of questions. You need to think carefully about what you're going to say. And Hen says, like, insists that she wants to tell them the truth. And Athena goes, yes, but you only tell them what you know, not what you think, not what you feel. Answer the questions, but stick to the facts.
At this point, Hen's stopped paying attention to Athena because she's just watched Eddie stop doing CPR, look at Chim, and shake his head. And she's realised that Evelyn is gone.
Yeah, she just breaks down and starts howling.
Oh, this honestly, made me cry. Like, Hen just breaking down in Athena's arms.
Yeah.
Aisha's performance in this episode, not just this scene, but throughout the entire episode, is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
She's so amazing.
And then the final shot of this episode is like the very David Wallace scene of Evelyn's cello case just crushed in the middle of the road, and pieces of sheet music just blowing forlornly.
Yeah, so she put...
Yeah, I don't know how it got out of the car.
Yeah, she put the cello in the back, like in the trunk, right?
Yep.
And the car got hit on the side.
Yep.
So how did the cello get on the ground?
Same way the seatbelt suddenly came undone.
It's a very dramatic shot of the cello case and...
Yes.
Yes. And that's the end.
Yes.
Finishing on another sad note this week.
It does finish on a really sad note. I definitely teared up. But I really like this episode.
Yeah, I do.
The pacing, like, I didn't feel like it was too fast or too slow. It's a really good ensemble episode.
Yeah.
Without it being...
all of them together all the time.
All of them together all the time. Mm. Like, the threads weave their way through really, really well. Like, we get Hen and Athena. We get Madney and Buck. We get Bobby being a dad. We get Eddie finally having his talk. Like, there's so much in this episode and it doesn't feel like too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do all get plenty of scenes where they're all together and they all contribute.
Yeah. Like, they all do their jobs really well. It's very on theme without the theme being shoved down our throats. I don't think there's a single mention of anyone. Like, I don't think anyone says malfunction.
I'm just going to do a Control F.
Yeah. it might have been mentioned one time. No. Bobby says a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, okay. Wardrobe malfunction. Right at the start. Yeah. yes, it's very on
Actually,
theme without it being...
Bobby says the word malfunction twice. So he's the one responsible for the episode title.
There you go. Well, there you go. It's not shoved down, like we didn't feel the need to take a shot.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that he'd said it.
Yeah.
So the writer of this episode was Tonya Kong, who was one of the writers credited in Triggers. And I think we were talking about Triggers where it was like, we felt like a bunch of different storylines had all been sort of smashed together, and then Christopher Monfort wrote the next episode that continued the Maddie stalking storyline. So I'm wondering if Tonya, the Fight Club storyline was her baby. So she got given this episode to sort of finish that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe hers was the fertility storyline. I don't know. But it's just interesting that from that episode with the three writers, you can then see the particular storylines being continued and brought to their conclusions by each one of those writers.
I think that's the other reason why season 3 feels so strong, is that there is a continuous sort of through line.
The writers are really on the ball.
Yeah, so they've really found their stride.
There's a strong writers' room who are obviously all working together. There is that mud map on the wall of where each character's arc is going, and everybody is reading, for the most part, their show Bible.
And like Eddie's... Because this show does do this thing a lot of the time where something super traumatic will happen, and then the next episode they're just like, okay, we're done with that now.
Oh yeah, we just wanted the trauma. We're not actually going to do anything with the trauma. We just want to show you the trauma.
Yeah, like Maddie had this massive traumatic thing, and then it just wasn't really mentioned again until season 3, really.
Yeah, now she's taking a while to deal with it.
Yeah. Whereas this, like, Eddie is still dealing with Shannon's death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been doing Fight Club after work almost this whole season.
I think it's also... I mean, I have no experience with trauma like that. It's very interesting that it has taken this long to develop. We're up to episode 8. Shannon died, the second last episode of last season?
Yeah.
So if we say it's taken 9 episodes and there was a good couple of months, 6 months in the break between seasons. So it's taken him a while. It's just been simmering.
Yeah, it's absolutely been simmering. Like, you know...
Well, they had to go through the tsunami as well.
His best friend almost died.
They had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, Eddie's gone through a lot of shit.
Yeah, his best friend almost died. His son then almost died. Well, like, not quite, but, like, went missing.
Yeah.
His son then had nightmares, so he had to be strong for his son. Like, and when
he
your
hasn't
parent
been given the
don't have...
opportunity to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like he would anyway, even if it was given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, now he's spoken to Dad Bobby, so he'll be fine from now on, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be sunshine and roses.
Totally fine.
Dad Bobby is going to put him into court-mandated therapy just like Maddie.
If only.
There's going to be all of them. They're just all sitting outside this one therapist's office. Like, what are you in for? Oh, my boss made me came in. You? Yeah, same.
Yeah, and then one of them comes out and the therapist is like, all right, which one of you fuckers is next?
Oh my god, I just looked at next week's episode and it's that episode. Season 3 is just hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to breathe.
All right, what's next?
Next week, the 118 respond to debris from a meteor shower crashing into an apartment building.
Oh, God.
And that's not all. And a deadly fire caused by a hazardous waste truck crashing inside a tunnel.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Hen struggles with guilt over her ambulance accident. Bobby introduces Eddie to an old friend to help with his anger, and Maddie receives an urgent call for help.
Right.
Gee, I wonder who Maddie's urgent call for help will be from.
I want to know why Bobby just didn't introduce Eddie to Hot Priest at this point.
Hot Priest was unavailable.
Apparently. So slight spoiler alert, Erilyn, it's not Hot Priest next week.
Bobby was like, even Hot Priest can't fix this hot mess.
Maybe he's more worried about Hot Priest. He's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want this one. He's seen what Eddie's done to Buck. He doesn't want to inflict Eddie on Hot Priest. Triggers for next week, including a very shameful lack of Hot Priest. We get yet another car accident. We get some domestic violence. We get more gore. We have depictions of grief, references to hazardous waste, PTSD, and apparently this one is a trigger, therapy.
Oh. Going to therapy is a trigger?
Okay.
Okay.
For some people it might be.
I guess if you've had a bad experience with therapy, then fine.
Especially if you're Buck and your therapist sexually assaults you.
Yeah, right. Poor Buck's just like, no,
Don't go to therapy!
Oh, dear, poor Buck. Geez, that was a long time ago.
Wasn't it?
Such a long time ago.
All right, so let us know what you thought about this episode. Did the scene at the end affect you as badly as the rest of us were sitting there sobbing by the end of it?
Or were you bitter and cynical like me and thought that it was completely superfluous?
Well, let us know.
Fine, Ellen. At least we have feelings.
Look, I was sad for Hen. I was sobbing for Hen. I just did not care about the extra character.
All of the ways that you can get in touch with us and tell us what you thought of this episode are on the website, which is thatweewooshow.com. And thank you very much for listening this week, and we will speak to you next time about episode 9, which is called Fallout. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com. Is she okay? Is it just because it's windy?
Oh yeah, I think she was barking at the possum and then she came inside to wake Mish up.
Oh, okay.
As you do.
No, Mish, you don't have to go out with her. Safe. Stay in. No, you're going to go out?
Can she even hear that Autumn is barking?
Yeah, she doesn't. She's not completely deaf. So if Autumn comes and like barks in her face, she can hear it. And so Autumn, which is what you heard, because Autumn will literally run inside and bark in Mish's face until Mish wakes up. And so Mish will wake up and then Autumn will run away and Mish is like, oh, fuck yeah, we're barking at things. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So Mish doesn't actually know what she's barking at, but she enjoys
The barking. Okay.
the opportunity, yeah. She likes being included, it's fine.